So here we go then, round 4 of the 2022 Global Series about to get underway. Hull shots have been engaged, the lights are out, and away we go in Buriram. And for the 3rd time in a row, it is a dynamite start from pole position by Christian MM17. Meanwhile behind, there's some moving, there's some shaking between this man or Trast, a big wheelie. He loses a lot of drive and drops down to 7th as a result. Meanwhile at the front, it looks like Adriana's managed to pick the pocket. Oh, Severi's so far out of control. Down he goes, braking way too late, and the Suzuki man is out on the opening lap.
Incredible drama then. That is Andrea Severi in the gravel. Looked as though he was braking on the rumble strip and just got it out of control. Incidentally, oh, look at that. Piero Ricciuti up into 2nd place. Great start then from the Ducati man. It was actually a really, really good launch off the line from Trastevere, but I think he just went in a little bit deep through turn 1, got on to the curb on the outside and just lost all that drive that he had. So a great start from 5th all the way up to 3rd, and now he's dropped back down to 6th.
I'd love to know what happened to Christian as well, Jack, because he got the perfect start and looked like the perfect drive out of the opening corner, and then suddenly we flicked back to see Trastevere having his troubles, and when we got back to the front, it was Adrian ahead of him, so maybe he's lost a bit of drive somewhere, getting on the rumble strip potentially, but unfortunately the man looking for 3 wins in a row finds himself down in 3rd.
Tell you what though, the man that we haven't even spoke about yet, the guy on the VR46 Ducati, Spadalongo, up from 8th to 4th. I saw him dive up the inside at turn 1. I think he actually nailed Piero Ricciuti in the side. Piero Ricciuti goes for the lead then. So we didn't see this coming. The Ducati man hits the front, but how long will he hold on to it? He's run wide through turn 1. Adrian on the Honda has got through.
Trast has gone down
to 9th. What
He's
happened?
gone down. The World Championship leader, or erstwhile World Championship leader, has gone down, and now for a 2nd time as he tries to rejoin the track, he comes into contact with Hugh Masteru. Oh, what drama on this 2nd lap of 10 here in Buriram. The 3-time king making a mistake, crashing out and dropping right to the back of the pack.
So this is going to have huge connotations then in the championship. You can see there he's already lost that championship lead. He was 4 ahead of Adrian coming into this. He's now going to be 6 behind, a 10-point swing. What drama in race 7 of the 2022 Global Series.
Can you believe it? Trast making an error. We didn't see the crash. I'm sure we'll get a replay imminently to see what happened exactly. But that is what can happen when you qualify further down on the grid. You don't make a good start. It was bogged down to 7th at one point. You can, and I'm not saying this has happened, get caught up in another rider's incident. Meanwhile, no such problems at the front for Adrian. Now 4/10 of a second clear after Piero Ricciuti managed to edge his way in front, but only momentarily. Christian, however, just struggling to find his rhythm here. We're so used to, particularly from round 3, see him hit the front and just check out. But unfortunately, for his sake anyway, he's not going all his own way this time around.
So fastest lap then for Adrian coming across the line that time round, 26.5. We have seen them do laps quicker than that in qualifying practice and also free practices before this. So certainly there's a bit more pace left in it, and that will be music to the ears of Christian MM17, because we've seen him put in some seriously fast laps into the low 26s. So we know there's the pace there for him to come surging through. We'll have to see how it plays out in the remaining 7.5 laps.
Every time through turn 3, they're braking so late and running it so deep. I'm thinking they're going to go wide and someone will be able to sneak up through the inside.
Piero's deep there.
Having to, yeah. Mistake from Ricciuti. Mistake from Ricciuti. Surely Christian will be able to swing through. No, not on this occasion. That will, of course, be a track limits warning for Ricciuti, but he's got away with one there.
Certainly has. It looked as though it just dragged in Christian as well. Just braking a little bit too late. Saw Piero go in and just sucked him into the corner too. But we're seeing now that that gap at the front has opened up to 0.7 of a second. And I've got to admit, that is what we call a comfortable buffer in MotoGP eSport. Anything plus half a second, that is manageable. So Adrian, all the chips are falling his way at the moment.
So far, so good, as you say, for the Repsol Honda man. But things could change here. If Christian is able to get himself in front of Ricciuti, could well start to chase down his brother at the front. It would be a Montenegro sandwich at the moment, with Ricciuti filling in the middle, but we could see a Montenegro 1-2 if he's able to find a way through. At the back of the pack though, there's your championship leader, or as we said, erstwhile championship leader. Here's what happened then. On the brakes into the opening corner. He's a little bit heavy onto the green stuff. The rear wheel just losing traction as he went over the curb. Down he went as he's rejoined the track, straight into the way of Hugh Mastru, and that just has rubbed some salt into the wounds. And he went down a third time. Can you believe it? 3 crashes in a row. That is a total disaster for Trask. 3 crashes in the space of 20 seconds. He is dead last, and as a result, will, without doubt now, lose the championship lead.
So we have to say then, that is a complete loss of composure from, well, the largely unflappable man in MotoGP eSports series. Trastavere then, this one really has fallen apart, and his championship lead is no more. Christian MM17 then still going about his work on Piero Ricciuti at the front. That gap at the front has actually stabilised. Piero's got back into it after a couple of mistakes. 8 attempts back then from Adrian. Looks as though he's not going to be able to do too much about the Honda man, so really his focus has to be on keeping clean and making sure that he doesn't give Christian an opportunity to pounce. Coming through turn 1 then, firing onto this very long straight here in Buriram. We've seen so many times, even in qualifying, we saw these guys behind each other getting a large slipstream and pulling in a 10th or 2. Look at that, Christian, by the time he gets down to this bottom turn 2 and 3, he is closing in rapidly. And I tell you what, Piero's got a bit of a slipstream there as well. That gap's down to just about 5 or 6 tenths.
Meanwhile, let's have a look further down the field. Vindex has now got himself in front of Spadalongo, who, regardless, is still having a great ride to be up inside the top 5. Strong performance actually coming from Mr. T as well in 6th, Tatigo 7th, Davide Galina 8th, and then these guys are not where we expected to see them. Mistakes coming from all of them. I actually didn't see Jack Hammer's crash pop up, but he must have had an off somewhere to be behind Andrea Severi, who of course went down on that opening lap. Then Hugh Mastru and Trask a long way adrift in 11th and 12th following their coming together. There's Spadalongo we saw momentarily, having a good ride, keeping tabs as well with Vindex. Mr. T going well, the Australian, as close to home soil as we will get to throughout this championship. Of course, we're not heading to Phillip Island in a 2022 Global Series. There's Davide Galina, and this could be oh so important in the championship. You see Severi behind there, closing in on Galina, and then Tatigo, and then Mr. T. There's still plenty of time left in this race. We've only just reached half race distance. If he can pick up 2 or 3 positions.
Crash. Look at that, on the curbs. That's braking there at 200 mile an hour as they hit the brakes there, and he's on the curbs, and that is never going to work out. Goes all the way through the gravel trap to the barrier. Thankfully, of course, there's no damage done. But Andrea Severi, as you do say, Jack, closing in rapidly on Davide Galina on that Aprilia. And you got to say, what's the gaps there in front of him? 9 tenths and 2 tenths. If he can make up a couple of positions, maybe nip up into this top 6, with Trastavere down in 12th and really not going to make any more progress than that, it's not a bad damage limitation job.
Yeah, if he can get himself in front of Mr. T, at the moment in 9th, he'll be scoring 3.5 points. If he was to get up to 6th, he would score 5 points. Those extra 1.5 points, it might sound minuscule, but you never know.
Everything.
You never know come the end of the season just how important that could be. We've seen, even with double points at the final round in previous years, this championship being decided by the smallest of margins. At the front though, still all going to plan for Adrian. He is 3/4 of a second clear of Piero Ricciuti, and the Ducati man actually has responded quite well here. He's now got, what, 3 or 4 bike lengths, a comfort buffer, shall we say, over Christian MM17 in 3rd. We'll keep a close eye on Severi here to see if he can manage to close the gap to Trask in this championship fight. First, he's got to try and get ahead of Davide Galina, who himself, the Aprilia man, looking for a way through on Tatigo there, but can't get the job done. Back at the front though, and still Adrian leading the way.
Yeah, doing the job here, Adrian. We said about that comfortable buffer, anything over half a second, and it's just to-ing and throwing from somewhere around half a second to up towards 3/4 of a second. So certainly Adrian doing exactly what he needs to do to hold Piero Ricciuti at bay at the moment. And even Christian MM17, I thought we'd maybe see a little, Tatigo's gone down out of a good position. That's a shame. Was running strongly in 7th, but what that does do is it gives Andrea Severi a position. Now actually, he's nipped in front of Davide Galina as well. So that's big progress then for Andrea Severi. He's going to pick up a handful more points.
Just one.
So 1 or 2 positions gained?
Two positions gained. Normally 2 points, but half points means just the 1.
True. So, well, sadness, but also progress. Let's put it like that. Look at this, 4 tenths under. Here we go. This could be something. If Piero Retruti can get into this slipstream zone, we've got 2 mammoth straights coming up here after turn 1. He might just be able to get close enough to pounce.
Here we go. Come on, Piero. Let's see if we can close in on the rear wheel. I know. Let's see if we can have ourselves a bit of a ding-dong in the closing stages of this one. It's been too easy for my liking for Adrian so far, not to take anything away from his efforts. It's been a perfect ride so far, getting the better of his brother on that opening lap and hasn't looked back since then, but suddenly that gap now is as close as it has been all race long. Is the rear wheel, the rear tyre should I say, of that Repsol Honda just starting to fade. A mistake there, so that's another 10th in favour of the Ducati man. This could build into quite the crescendo.
Great time to come on board here with Christian, staring at these two closing together as we dive into the last 2.5 laps. Incredibly tricky section of the track, this one in particular. So easy to run in too fast. You see there Piero getting it really stopped nice and slow through the middle of the corner to make sure he can get it fired out. And this gap now is hovering around that 4-tenth margin. We'll see even now coming down into 3.5 tenths. It seems time to cue the Jaws music because the wild child is on the way.
Certainly is. The wild child is there. He's lurking in the background.
He's gone deep there. That's not going to help.
And it's a bit of a mistake. Compromised his exit, that's for sure. And look at the gap grow now. He'll surely be up to half a second shortly. Just about. Just ticks over there. So that's a costly error from Retruti there. And he doesn't get the right drive out of the opening corner. This long run through turn 2, which is there. Not really a corner, more of just a little left-hand kink before we go towards turn 3.
Adrian in a little bit deep there, but gets a nice slingshot run onto this second straight that we've got here in Buriram. Certainly one of the few tracks in MotoGP where these MotoGP bikes can really stretch their legs. But now, as you say, Jack, a couple of mistakes and that gap is back up to 8 tenths now for Piero Retruti, and all of a sudden he's actually under pressure rather than putting the pressure on. Once again he goes wide. So Piero Retruti, just a little bit of composure starting to go away as we come into crunch time in this race with a lap and a half to go.
You can be guaranteed that Christian's eyes are lighting up here. He can smell second place. He can smell a brotherly 1-2 here in Buriram, but time is running out. Only 1.5 laps to go for the LCR man to try and find a way through on Retruti.
Contender watch then as we just look down a little bit further into the pack. Andrea Severi is only 4 tenths behind Mr. T. If he can get that final 6th place, that'll be absolutely crucial. But here we go then, back to concentrating at the front. 1 lap to go. We fly onto it now. Adrian surely has it in the bag, but Piero Retruti is under all kinds of pressure.
Retruti goes defensive. He tries to cover it off on the inside. Just about makes the apex there through the opening corner, but Christian is right with him. Surely he's going to have a look on the brakes into turn 3. There he goes, looking to the inside, and there he goes, flying past the Ducati man, both as hard on the brakes as you can imagine, but no way through. What defence from Retruti. Brilliant stuff from the Ducati rider.
That is one big place then, fended off brilliantly by Retruti. He's got it hooked up and driving out down turn 3. Down towards this slingshot turn 4. Incredibly crucial, he doesn't go too wide here and get it onto the rumble strip. He doesn't. So that's another place where he hasn't lost any time. And if anything, he's starting to put some pressure on Adrian, making him sweat for this final half of a lap.
Can you believe it? Look at this. He's got rid of Christian MM17. He's shaken off the attention of one Spaniard, and he's now got his clutches in on the Spaniard ahead of him. Surely he's not going to be able to magic something up in this final half a lap here. It is half a second. It's surely going to be comfortable for Adrian, but it's not comfortable enough for him to stop concentrating just yet. Look at the glare in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. He's into the final sector now, running down towards the final corner. Surely he's got it in the bag. Just 1 corner to go for the Repsol Honda man. There he goes. An important performance for Adrian. His 3rd win of the year, and with it comes the championship lead. Retruti has to settle for 2nd, with Christian's dreams of a hat-trick dashed here in Buriram. A podium, nevertheless, for the LCR man. Vindex in 4th, and a first ever eSports top 5 for Spadalongo.
Congratulations then to Spadalongo and Vindex, 2 fantastic rides behind some of the big three in this championship. Trastevere comes across the line in 11th then. He doesn't finish last in this race. He picks up 11th for another half a point, I do believe. So if my maths is correct, there'll be 7.5 back at the end of this one, race 7. But we'll just wait for the race director to approve the results, and here they go then. So there you are. Adrian, win number 3 of 2022. He had to sweat a little bit, but in the end it was comfortable ahead of Piero Ricciuti. Christian MM17 gave it a big push on the final lap, but couldn't quite get ahead of the Ducati. Vindex 4th and Spadalongo 5th. That surely is a personal best for those two. Congratulations. Andrea Severi, fantastic damage limitation there to come back through from 9th to 6th in the last couple of laps. And Jack Hammer, Davide Galina, Mr. T, Tatigo, the big story Trastevere finishing 29 seconds off the lead and losing the championship lead. And you, Mastru, rounds us out in 12th place.